Okay, so this is the design we'll be creating for our movie screen. It has the movie image here, it has the title, it has other information about the movie, as well as the cast, and also similar movies underneath for each specific cast. So, first things first, I want to work on the API and make sure that is ready before we start populating the design and all. So, I'm going to head back to my movie API right here and just here. So to get started with the movie details endpoint, as well as the movie cast, that is the movie credit, and also the similar movies for the specific movie we are on currently, we can check the documentation for that in their website. And this is where to get that. And remember that this is where we are getting our endpoint for our popular movies and stuff. So if you head down and check movies category here and you click on details, we select details, it is going to ask you to specify the language you're using, which is JavaScript. So you can see Axios here. And if you input any ID here, let's say 12, and you say try it, it's going to show a specific movie, which is Finding Nero Collection and all. So all we have to do is just use this URL to fetch the specific movie. And you can see here, if you click this, you can see movie ID, which is important. So we're going to just copy this and we're going to head back to our code and say movie details and point. We're going to say a constant called movie details endpoint is going to be assigned to a parameter of ID and also an arrow function with a backtick. We're going to say API base URL, which is what we already have here. We're going to paste what just copied now into this. But this movie ID also has to be unique. So we're going to say this is going to be ID. And also we're going to copy everything here, which is the query at the back of this. So that's all we have to do for the movie's endpoint. And also we want to create the movie credit endpoint as well. So we're going to say const movie credit endpoint. We're going to say ID and also assign this and just copy everything here. Use this right here, but we're going to change some things. And we have movie ID. And also after this ID, we're going to have a slash of credits and also the query API key. So to get the next one, which is basically the similar movies related to the movie details, we're going to paste everything here. Copy rather, paste it here. So I'm going to call this similar movies endpoint. I'm going to say this is ID and also API base URL, movie, the ID of the specific movie, and also similar and the query itself. So this is how to create the endpoint. And remember, whenever you create an endpoint, you still need to create a function so that it can fetch these individual details and all and use them with this movie API call. So to do that, I'm going to say export const fetch movie details. And we're going to assign its ID parameter and also return movie API call. And we're going to say this is going to have the movie details endpoint. And after that, we're just going to copy this as well, paste this, and we're going to change this to, instead of fetch movie details, we're going to say fetch movie credits. And it's going to have an ID, also movie credits endpoint. Do we have that? Yeah, what do we call it? Movie credits endpoints. So just copy it and just paste this right here. So next thing we're going to do is just copy this, paste this, and call this fetch similar. Sorry about that. Fetch similar movies. And we're just going to set this like this. And also we're going to say this is going to be the function that we created here, which is this similar movies endpoint. And we're going to paste that right here. Save that and you should be good to go. So although we want to make sure that whatever ID we pass here is kind of unique from what you have here, so we're just going to say, let's say this one is movie ID, Also, we're going to show this is movie ID. So, moving on, we are ready to use our API in our movie screen. So inside our movie screen, I'm going to create some set of state first. But first things first, I want to get the parameters that we are sending from each specific movie. So what this is basically doing is that it is getting all the parameters sent from the previous screen and it is getting it right here. So next thing we're going to do is say assign this to use route. Now we're going to create a variable called navigation as well, and it's going to be assigned to use navigation. Let's use this because we are still going to navigate to each cast or each actor's individual profile. So we need to use this navigation for that. We're going to create some set of state as well. We're going to say const. We're going to call this movie, and we're going to say set movie is going to be a use state, but not null, but instead an empty object. After that, we're going to say const. We're going to have a cast. We're going to set cast to an empty array. Also, we're going to say const similar, a state of similar as setting the similar to an empty array. Also, we're going to say we want a state to be called is favorite and set is favorite to a use state of false, which is a boolean. And also, we're going to say const loading. We're going to set loading to a use state of also false, not true. Then after that, we can create a function here, const get movie details, which is an async, and it's going to take ID as its parameter. And it's going to say create a variable of data, and it's going to be an await fetch movie details of ID. Then if you're able to get that, just set the loading to false. And if the data is available or true, set that specific data to the set movie state that we have right here. So we can just use the movie.title, movie.image, and so on to populate our data. So moving on, I'm going to just continue with the next function here. And the next function is going to say getting our cast, and we're just going to use this boiler code here as well. And this is going to say fetch movie credits and import that. So this is working the same way. And the next one is also going to be get similar movies. You can see this Copilot is making our job easier and faster. So get similar is supposed to be get similar movies. And this is also supposed to be similar movies. And we're just going to replace that with similar movies. Save that. And we should be good to go. So the next thing we're going to do is actually not just use this data here, but we want to make sure that whatever data we have there already, so inside of it, we're going to say dot 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 movie, comma, dot 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 data. So whatever data is already existing there, keep it and still update whatever data is coming. So moving on, we're going to call these functions that we just created using use effects. And we're going to say the dependency will depend on the item that we're getting here, which is here. So this is going to fetch every time this unique item changed. So the first thing we're going to see here is set loading to be equal to true because our data is just fetching. Also, we're going to say get movie details, which is the function we have here. Let me just comment this function to fetch movie details. So we have a parameter here, which is ID, and this ID will be assigned to the fetch movies ID we have here. And the ID we are using is the item.id, that is the specific movie ID we have here. So the next thing we're going to do is just say get movies credit as well with item.id. Also the last one, get similar movies, which is ID, item.id. And we should be good to go now. So we're just going to continue styling our movie detail screen, and this is not going to be an issue. Let me see this. It seems we've not imported this yet. So yes, I've imported that, and we have all our fetch functions here. So doing this from the start will make our job faster because all we have to do is just assign this movie, this cast, and these similar movies to wherever we want to use it right here. So the first thing we are going to do here is say we want to have a scroll view inside of this. And inside of this scroll view, we're going to have some set of parameters. And the first one is going to be content, container style. And that is going to be padding of bottom. And this is going to be not 100, but 20. Also, after this, we're going to have a class name. And the class name is not going to be movie screen, but instead, it's going to be flex of 1, BG neutral of what? Of 900. Now, we can move ahead and say we want to have a view inside of this. And this view is basically just our back button and movie poster, which we have right here. So if we select this, you know what we're going to do? We're going to console.log the movie details that we are getting. So here, after this, I'm just going to say console.log. I'm just going to get the movie details. And if everything works when we select this, you should see all the details about the specific movie that we selected here. So let's check. So click this. It says this state doesn't exist. My bad. We're just going to import that, save that. And what else do we need to do? I think that's all. So as you can see, this is getting all the movies here, by the way. Let me go back to our home screen, and whatever console.log that we have here, I want to just turn it off. So let me just say console.log, and we have some console.log. This one is now active. This is active. Let me just turn this off. And also movie screen and error. Okay, we are good to go. So in the movie screen, we're going to be seeing all the logs regarding movie where we select this specific movie. So if we select make 2, there's still an error. It says use effect doesn't exist. Sorry about that. Where do we use effects? No. This is going to be okay. Seems you've imported that already. Let's just put this here, use effects. And these are just the errors, and it will make you a better developer where you're able to debug and all. So if we select make 2, there's still an error. It says scroll view doesn't exist. That doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It seems it is not showing right here. Let's just import that right here, scroll view. And I think that's the final thing we have to import for now. So let's select make 2, and you can see the movie details here. It says it is empty, by the way, but it is getting a log. It's getting a log that say file styles are different and stuff. I think we didn't set up our function properly. So if you head back to our movies API and we check where we are fetching our movie details, we're supposed to pass this ID right here. We're going to say this is ID. This is going to be a movie ID. And also this is going to say movie ID. As you can see, some of the data are already pulling in. So if we head back to our movie screen and check this console.log, you can see movie details, which we have here. Our data is ready to be used. So let's just bring this down and continue working on our code. So inside of this, we're going to say we want a class name, and the class name is going to be width of full. And inside of this, we're going to have a view as well. And inside of this view, we're going to say class name, we just want a Z of 20, which is Z index, width of full, flex of row, justify of between, items of center, and padding of horizontal of 4. And after that, we're going to say also add a margin bottom or top of 12. Save that. And inside of this view, we're going to say we want some set of things. And the first one is going to be a view as well. And this view is going to have the following properties. And say class name is going to be BG, which is a custom color of 2496 FF, and padding is going to be 2, rounded or full, items of center, justify of center. Also, we're going to say we want to have a touchable opacity here, and this touchable opacity is going to house our icon, which is the back button, It says it's not seeing it. I don't know why these auto imports are funny this evening. Touch able opacity, import that. And also, inside of this, we're going to have an icon called chevron left icon with the size of 30, stroke width of 2, color of white. Save that. And we've already imported this. Why is this still showing an error? Anyway, let's just try and reload our app. You can see all our data here. Let's just reload. And I'm going to turn off this console.log so that we don't keep getting the data as a log. And this will reload and to show our code in a bit. So on top of this, I'm going to say onPress, which is a property, and it's going to have an arrow function saying navigation dot go back, and it is going to go back to our previous screen. So if you select this, chevron left icon doesn't exist. Excellent. It is not showing us any suggestions, so we're just going to import, and we don't want this. Why are we importing this? No, we're going to import this right here. So click on that, and you can see our icon right here. So the next thing we're going to say is we don't want to keep going back and forth when we are here. Let's just head back to our index, which is our app navigation. This doesn't look like our app navigation. We're just going to go into our navigation here. So we're just going to replace this with a screen. So I'm going to replace this with movie and save that. So we don't need to go back to the home screen every time we're working on this particular screen. So instead of the movie screen, we're going to continue our screen. So whenever you click this, it's going to go back to the previous screen you are coming from. Also, we want to have another view after this. And this view is going to say, I want to have a touchable opacity. And this is going to have an art icon as this. Art icon doesn't exist. Excellent. We're just going to import that right here from solid. That has been imported. That should fix it in a minute. And it seems this is not loading, so we're just going to, there seems to be a major error here. And we're just going to, okay, go back to our app navigation. We're going to set this to home. Save that. We're just going to reload that. It says no app is connected. Why is that showing? We are connected. So after reloading, we're just going to continue working on our code. Now, movie screen, we're going to say after this, this view is for the back icon. I just like to keep our code commented so everything looks pretty cool. And this is going to be our art icon. Save that just like we have right here. So this view is the one that we house both, and this is going to be back and art icon. So outside of this, we're going to create the next. So if we select this should not throw any error, and you can see our art icon here. It needs to have this specific background. So inside of this view, we're going to say class name is going to be this. Save that, and you should see that right away. Also, it's going to have padding of 2, rounded or full, items of center, justify of center as well, and you can see that works fine. So after this, we're going to put this here, and we're going to say the next thing we're going to be creating is this image right here. So we're going to say movie image, save that. And we're going to say if loading is true, right, show a loading component which we already created, else show a different component, and the component is going to have a view, and inside of this view it's going to have an image. We're just going to import the image like this from React Native, and after the image we're going to have a view as well to close this off and make it look good. We're just going to close this off. So that works. Excellent. So next thing we're going to say is the source is going to be URI using the IMG 500 function, which we created already in our API. Let's just minimize this. We're going to be using movie.poster underscore path. And the error this is showing is we have two curly braces here. So if we save it, you should see our movie poster in a bit. So if you just select, you said image 500 doesn't exist. Let's just import that. Import that. That has been imported right here. So if we go back here, select Meg, we should see our image now. But if we are not getting that, it seems we need to add the size of the image. And we're going to say style is going to be width, is going to be just width. Also, height is just going to be height multiplied by 0.55. And we're just going to use our import statement here to import width. And we're going to bring this also. It seems we bring it in already. Dimensions, good. So if you select this, we see our image right here. Look at that, guys. Now this seems that the image is sitting under these icons here, which we don't want. So we're going to head back to where we have our icons. And after the margin top of 12, we're going to add absolute to this so that they sit on top of the image. And you can see our design is looking just like the one we have here already. So we're going to say outside of the scroll view, which is this, we're going to have another view. And on top of this view is going to be a comment of movie details. And this view is going to have a class name, which is space y of 3, flex of 1, background of white, and relative. And also it is going to have a style. And the style is going to be border, top left radius is going to be 30, and also border top right radius is going to be 30 as well. And inside of this, we're going to have this background image like we have here. So we're going to say image, okay, and this image is going to have a source, and the source is going to be, sorry, this is going to be require instead, and this require is going to be a method. We're going to be getting images. We're going to be using home screen .png. Let's check if that doesn't exist for a minute. Asset images, and it says home screen 1. Okay, let's just use home screen 1 here and save that. If you click this, you see the image sitting pretty here. So next thing we're going to say is we want to have a style, and the style for this image is going to be width, is going to be width. Also, we're going to say height is going to be height. And yes, if we select this, you can see the image is covering the entire background. After this, we're going to say the resize mode is going to be cover. So let's just remove our text here, remove it, and we're going to continue working on our code by saying padding of 4. And you should see our white area right here. Let's just say padding y of 4. So padding bottom and top of 4. Make it 8 so that it can be obvious. And also after this image, we're going to say we want to have a movie title. And this is going to have a view. And in this view, we're going to say we want to have a text. And inside of this text is going to be movie.title, and we're going to use an optional chain in here. Save that and click on this. Let's just start our title first and say the class name is going to be text of, let's say, red for now, so that we can see our movie title for a minute. That is not showing, but anyway, let's continue. Text left, text 2XL, font bold, tracking of widest. And the view here, let's just give it a class name. And the class name is going to say space y of 3, also padding of 4, and also let's have a style here, and this style is going to be margin top. Let's say -100 and see what that shows us. Click on fast X, and this is not what we want. So we're just going to say minus an height multiplied by 0.55 or 0.09 instead. So after setting this, if this still doesn't show, then it means that this image is covering our information for the particular movie, and we're going to say this is what we want, and we're going to change this to text of white so we can see our movie title right here. Anyway, moving on, we're going to say after the text, we also want another text, and this text is going to say the comment is going to be genres. Save that. And also we're going to say class name is going to be flex of row space x of 2. Save that. And inside of this we're going to say movies dot genres dot map, and this is a method. We're going to say genre also index, and this is going to be an arrow function. We're going to say let show dot be equal to index plus 1. We're going to say if it is not equal to movie dot genres dot length, that is why you're going to assign these show dots to it. So this is going to be movie, not movies, and this is going to be movie as well. And after that, we're going to say return, and it's going to be text, and the text is going to have a closing text like this, and also have a property of key, which is coming from the index, which we have here, where we map through all the movies genre, because each individual movie genres have a unique index. And also we're going to say it has a class name, and the class name is going to be text neutral 400, font of semi-bold, text of base, text of center. We're going to save that, and inside of this we're going to say, okay, now use our genre that we just used now and use the name. And also after this, we're going to show the dot variable that we just created right now as a ternary operator, and we're going to set this to it. So if show dot is true, use this little dot here after each genres, then else just set it to empty. So if you click on this, you can see after each genres you have this little dot right here. But no, we don't want to have just this empty one here. We're just going to say just set this to null. And also this looks tight, so we're just going to add a space inside of this, and we're going to continue working on our code. So after this text, we're going to also have, we're going to say release year, also the runtime. So after this, we're going to say if movie with an optional chaining, if the ID is true, then you're going to show this, else you're going to be showing null. So inside of this, we're going to say the view like this is going to have a text, and this text is going to have a class name, and this class name is going to be text of white, font of semi-bold, also text of base, text of left, and also this view is going to be having class name. And no, we don't want to have all this here. This is where we want to have this. We're just going to cut that, put this right here, and use something else here. We're going to say we have a background. Let me see. So it seems we've broken our code. Let's just add a double quote here. So after this, or inside of this view, we're going to say the background is going to be custom, and it's going to be coming from 2496FF, padding of 2, Also, width is going to be 3 over 4. Also, rounded of large, save that. And also inside of this, we're going to be saying movie dot popularity. We're going to save that. And if you select this, you're going to see the movie popularity here. And also, we're going to say movie dot runtime. And also the last one, which is movie dot release date. So you can see all these here, but we don't want this to just be like this. We want to be able to format this popularity to show percentage and also the runtime to show the specific hours, because this is currently 142 minutes. We want to show it in hours and minutes, and also this date, we don't want to show everything. So we're going to create a function that handles all these three. We'll head back to the top of our code. Under this, we're going to say create a function called format runtime, and this is going to have runtime as its parameter. Also, it's going to say create a variable of hours and assign it to math. This is JavaScript right here. Dot floor, then runtime over 60. Also, we're going to create minutes. I'm going to assign it to runtime with a modulus of 60. And also, we're going to say if hours is equal to 0, then we're going to return a backticks of minutes a minute. Else, if we're going to put this like this, else if minutes is equal to 0, then we're just going to return a backticks of hours, then HR. Let's just leave it as H. And finally, we're going to say else, just return hours with an H as a string and minutes as a string. We're going to add this right here. So our function is ready and we just need to put that right here. So everything right here, let's just put this in first. We're going to say format runtime, which is a function by the way. We're going to have movie, which is movie popularity that we have here. We're just going to copy everything here, cut it out and put it right here. So we're just going to delete this, save that. And if you select this, as you can see here, the next one we're going to say is to also format the runtime, and this is going to be movie dot runtime, and this shows an error which we don't want, and instead we're just going to wrap everything around the curly braces. Save that, and as you can see 1 hour 54 minutes. That is how long this movie is. 1 hour 54 minutes. And the movie dot date dot release is going to be having a split method, and this split method is going to work like this. And after this, we're going to say or we're going to say NA. Save that, and our code should work in a minute. Save that. As you can see, 2023 is the only number that is showing here. After doing that, we made a mistake here. We are supposed to use the format runtime. We're supposed to create another function called format popularity, which handles the popularity. So I'm just going to head back to the top of our code and say, we're going to say const format, and it's going to be popularity. And this is going to be const percentage is going to be popularity divided by 100 or 1000 instead, multiplied by 170, and this is just going to give us a specific figure for this popularity instead of these random numbers that it has here. So after that, we're going to say return a backticks, not this, a backticks which include math.round. We're going to round the percentage, and at the end we're going to have a percentage right here. As you can see, we have to round all these numbers, and this is showing an error here. We're going to add it at the back of this, so because it's string and what you're rounding is all these long numbers. So Inside of our code, we're just going to replace this with format popularity. Save that. As you can see, 300%, which is how popular this movie is. And if you check our design, it is nowhere close to what we want, but we are getting there. We're going to fix all that in a little bit. So after this, we also want to have a description. And inside of this description, we're going to say we want a text. And inside of this text, we're just going to say movie dot overview. Save that, and you should see all our description here. And we're going to start this by saying class name is going to be text neutral of 300, text of SM, tracking of widest, leading of 6. Save that, and you should see our description coming out little by little. And if you check our design, we have a background of blue here, which is not showing here. So it seems we made an error here. Save that, and you should see the blue looking background for our release here and go. So moving on. So after this, we're also going to be showing the cast, and the cast is going to have, so we're going to say if the movie dot id is present, and also if we have the cast dot length, and if it is greater than 0, no, this is not what we want. If it's greater than 0, and that is where you should show the cast components, which we're going to create in a bit. So we're going to, inside our movie, we're just going to import it. It says that doesn't work, so we're going to say import cast from component cast. So if we select this, you see our casts right here. So head back to our home screen, sorry, movie screen. Let's just close this for a minute and head back down. We're going to be assigning navigation to navigation instead. Also, we're going to say cast is going to be cast. Save that. Also, the next thing we're going to be doing is have a similar movie section here. And also this is going to say if movies, or movie radar, .id is true. And also, if similar movies.length is greater than 0, then that is when you should show, let's use the popular movie card that we created earlier. And this is going to have a title of similar movies. And also, we're going to say data is going to be assigned to similar movies. So if we save that and click on this, it says cannot read property length of undefined. Good. So what we have to do is just check if this cast and similar movies are truly available in our code before we even try to use them. So let's just comment them out first. Let's see if that is only the error. Click this. And it seems that is where we are having the issue, which is this similar movies. So let's head back to our function right here, which is get similar movies, set similar movies to data.results, fetch similar movies, the ID. And also we need to also check if not only data is available, but also data.results. That is when you should set this. And let's just console.log. And we're going to say similar movies is going to be similar movies. We're just going to remove these last curly braces right here. So it says similar movies undefined. Good. And we at least know that we're not getting our similar movies data. So all we have to do is just head back here, similar movies item.id. And it seems we are doing everything properly here. But let's check our movie API and see if we are doing something right. Let's just check this. And as you can see, we have our similar movies here. And we have the images as well too. As you can see, these are similar movies that are related to this Fast X. If you go back, so before we fix that, let's just head back to our popular movies and just work on the cast. So inside of the cast folder, we're going to see, let's first destructure something here. We're going to see cast, which we are getting from the previous movie screen we are coming from, which is the movie details. Also, we're going to create a function saying render item, and this is going to be the structuring item, and this is going to be assigned to an arrow function. And also we're going to say return something, and the return statement is going to be a touchable opacity, and it is going to have the following, although we need to have something like this. Touchable opacity, good. So inside of this touchable opacity, we're going to say we want to have a view. And inside of this view, we're going to say we want a class name. Sorry, class name. And inside of this class name, we want to have items, start, justify, start as well, width of full, height of 120, rounded of small, overflow of hidden. And also after this, we're going to say we want a class name, and the class name here is going to be items, start, margin right of 6, save that. And also we're going to be saying inside of this, we're going to be having an image. We're going to be importing the image right here. We're going to be saying class name is going to be rounded of large. Also height is going to be 100%. Also width of full. And also the source for this image is going to be coming from URI image 500 with item.path as the correct image path. Let's just remove these two curly braces. And we're not going to be navigating to just the movie, but the person screen. We're going to be saying just use the item or spread the item to the next screen. And in our screen, just after this, we're going to be saying we want a person screen.js. We're going to say React Native functional component. And when that is ready, we're going to head back into our navigation and bring in our person screen. We're going to say copy everything here, paste this right here, and say this is called person, and also this is called person screen. So let's try and import that. He says he doesn't see it. That's not a problem. Let's just bring this after this. We're going to save that. So it says person screen doesn't exist, but it does because that is what, okay, that has been fixed. So if we head back to our cast, we're going to say, if we click this, it's going to show. So we can't see our cast yet because we've not populated it right here. So to do that, we're going to continue with this and say, after this view, have another view. And this view is going to have a class name of margin top of 3. So inside of this view, we're going to have a text. And inside of this text, we're going to say this class name here should be this. And we should say text white, text left. And inside of this, we're going to say item. If the item dot character dot length is greater than 10, then we're going to say use a backticks, else use item dot original underscore name. But instead of this backticks, we're going to say use a $sign with curly braces and say this is item dot original underscore name, but slice it up and slice it from 0 to 10. And also at the end, add 3 dots. Save that. And moving on, we're going to say we're ready with this, and let's just create a flat list here to use this function that we just created. So inside of this view, we're going to have a class name, and the class name is going to be margin vertical of 2, also margin bottom of 8. We're going to scroll up just a bit. And inside of this text, we're going to say the cast is going to be cast. But let's just start it and say class name is going to be text of white, text of large, mx of 4, margin bottom of 5, font of bold, and save that. As you can see, our cast is ready. So next thing we are going to do is say we're going to use a flat list And let's just import that. Okay, that has been imported. So we're going to say it is going to show horizontal, and also data is going to be assigned to casts, data that we are bringing in. Also, we're going to say show horizontal scroll indicator to be false. Also, key extractor is going to be item, then item index as well. We're going to say item, then index, item.id dot. But here we don't want all this. Instead, we want to have a backtick here and a dollar sign saying item.id. Also, we're going to say use a dollar sign here saying index. So we don't have items, we're using item instead. We're going to save that. The next thing we're going to say is render item. What I'm going to say is render item. And last one I'm going to say is content container style. Is going to be padding horizontal of 15. So if you click on fast X, you're going to see the cast. If that is not showing, yes, look at that. We have all our casts here. So we're almost ready with our movie details screen, and